salute. Let me have former executive of the Chamber of Commerce, Dale Hope.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, I thought you'd never come back to work.
The weather's nice, I can come out now.
Okay.
No snow.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the board meeting, April 28th. Just a reminder, if there's an emergency, we must evacuate the building. Exit out the back door. There's another exit goes in front of the building. Please go to your vehicles. Do not leave until so directed by emergency service personnel. Also, this is a non-smoking building, so if you must, please go outside to do so. Village Clerk.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Just want approval for the board meeting minutes of April 14, 2014.
Motion to accept is presented. Motion. I think there's one correction.
Excuse me, could I ask you to speak up because we can't hear you?
Oh, I am sorry. How about now? Is that any better?
A little bit, yeah.
I got the microphone on.
It's probably the air conditioners.
Here, hurry.
I will bring it closer to my mouth. How about now? Put it any closer to the choke.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Village Treasurer, Mr. Crosby. Can you move the microphone over here?
Okay, so the bills for the period of April 17th through the 28th, excuse me, I have a total, I'll do the best I can. They total $482,492.93. Five largest bills total $179,421.41. They were New York State Employee Health 109,671. That's health insurance for May. Howard Goldberg, storefront rehabilitation, $20,000. That's the BID getting that money back from the grant. Also, the next one is the same budget by itself. Storefront rehab, $20,000. We have JP Jagger for refill vapor nozzle, $17,825. And the J.R. Olsmack for planning board, New Village, thank you for that. Can I have approval, please?
Motion to accept is presented.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
I have a couple of items tonight. I have need approval for the general fund to loan capital projects fund, $90,566.34. We will get reimbursed for that.
Motion. Motion. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
I have some cash balances. That's just for the board's information confirmed. I do have a few other approvals. We like to get the approval when we retire our cell phones or what have you. We have 4 cell phones that we will be recycling. I'd like approval for that.
Motion. Motion. Second. Second. All in favor? Aye.
And we're disposing of a bunch of old cell phones that are no use to us anymore. I'd like to have approval for those. Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.
I have a slew of budget transfers this year end, and I'd like to have them approved, please. It's too many of them.
Motion to accept is presented.
Motion.
Second. Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Okay, I have one other item, rather large item, okay? I'm requesting for approval to transfer from surplus to the general fund an amount not to exceed $400,000 to cover costs of the settlement of tax surety proceedings, including all costs associated with the settlement, and I will go through those, the ones that I have. There's 4 that I have in front of me.
Well, let's first accept the
We need to get that approval of
the motion to transfer $400,000 surplus.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Okay, I would like approval of the settlement of the tax surety proceedings brought by Keith Panzer for the premises on 5 Lake Street in the amount of $5,500.
Motion. Motion. Second. Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Number Two, approval to the settlement of tax associated proceeding brought by Metro House Constructors for the premises known as North Lane in the amount of $22,000.
Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
Okay, the next one is for proceedings on 260 Waverly Owners Court, the premises known as 260 Waverly Avenue, in an aggregate amount of $72,000.
Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, the last one, the largest one, is the approval of the tax certiorari proceeding brought by Fair Harbor Owners, Inc., for the premises known as 400 River Avenue, in an aggregate amount of $250,000.
Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
That's all I have, thank you.
Request approval to set a public hearing to consider a change in zone from C residential to D2 business for the property located at 205 South Ocean Avenue, and that is the old town hall. As we indicated earlier, town of Brookhaven it has been purchased from the town of Brookhaven, and brings D2 brings it to the rightful use, which is office commercial for office commercial use. We have attached recommendations for zoning and planning board. I set that for the first meeting in June.
They have to go out, there's posting requirements required.
Okay. So it's me.
June 9th.
Motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. I don't see Dennis Smith. Do we have anybody here representing the bid?
Okay. Please take notice that a public hearing being held by the Board of Trustees in the Village of Patchogue on April 28, 2014 at 6 p.m. Village Hall, 14 Baker Street, Patchogue, New York, pursuant to Section 162-9 of Village Code regarding the filing by the building inspector of a report containing his findings and recommendations regarding certain structures situate on premises on 203 West Avenue, Patchogue, New York, designated by tax map number 204-16-4-11, reputedly owned by Mario Alejandro Mendez, in which said report finds that the structure is unsafe and dangerous to the public and recommends its immediate demolition and removal. As said, any resident of the Village of Patchogue is entitled to be heard at this public hearing by order of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Patchogue dated March 11, 2014.
For those, that's the house on the east side of West Avenue, just north of Mulper Street. There was a fire in it a couple of months back, and there's a few talk over the roof right now. Would you read the record?
Memo from Peter.
Senior Building Inspector Sarah. This is the report from Senior Building Inspector Sarah in relationship to this property.
On September 18, 2013, the above referenced residential dwelling was heavily damaged by fire. The fire appears to have started just outside the side entrance and traveled up the siding and into the second floor and attic. The building sustained heavy fire and water damage to over 50% of the second and first floors. Approximately 40% of the roof was burned through. Immediately after the fire, the building was boarded up and the roof tarped over by a commercial board-up service. The owner of record has apparently abandoned the property and moved out of state. The mortgage company has been paying the taxes but has not foreclosed on the property yet. At the time of the fire, approximately 7 people were occupying the house without permission from the owner. It is my opinion that the house meets the elements of an unsafe and hazardous building as per Section 162-3 of Village Code. Therefore, I am recommending that the building be declared dangerous and unsafe.
Thank you. Council, would you explain to what 162-9?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees. Can you hear me in the back?
No.
Hi.
No.
I can. You can hear me? Okay, good. This is what happens when you let an Irishman near a microphone, right? I have to call this as a public hearing. Is there anybody, is Mario Alejandra Mendez present? Is anyone from Wells Fargo Mortgage present? Al, is there anyone in the hallway?
No, nobody had.
Okay. Thank you. This is a proceeding under, members of the Board of Trustees, this is a proceeding under Chapter 162 with regard to the building, declaring the building and structure unsafe. For the purposes of the record, included in your packet before each member of the Board of Trustees is a notice of public hearing. The report dated March 10th, 2014, which was by Senior Building Inspector Sarich, which was read into the record by Village Clerk Seal. There are 4 pages of photographs taken March 11th, 2014, including the posting of the notice to repair or remove. There is a copy of the notice to repair or remove dated March 10th, 2014, with photographic evidence of that document being posted on the front door of the premises. There also is a March 18, 2014 report from J.R. Holzmacher, P.E. LLC, to Senior Building Inspector Sarich regarding their evaluation of the structure at 203 West Avenue. Again, as stated in Senior Building Inspector Sarich's report, this house was subject to a fire. There were squatters who lived in the house. In summary form, on the report dated March 18, 2014, the professional engineering company evaluated the roof at 100% loss, the second floor at 100% loss, the first floor at an 80% loss. The exterior of 75% of the siding was damaged by heat and flame. The foundation was unable to be inspected given the condition of the structure. The electrical was a 100% loss, and the plumbing was a 70% loss, subject to further investigation. Significant to note is their conclusion that, quote, as a percentage of construction costs, we estimate that rebuilding the house will exceed 75% to 80% of its current value. Since the damage well exceeds 50% of the value of the structure, we recommend demolishing the existing structure and rebuilding. Demolition is a option under 162-10 as an emergency measure. It is approved by the village based on the professional engineer's report, as well as the recommendation of the senior building inspector. I would recommend that this board entertain a motion to demolish 203 West Avenue, and that the charges be assessed to the property owner.
Again, does anybody get Wells Fargo or firearms? Any comment from the public? Motion to accept is presented.
No.
Second. Council. We will then read the contract to have it taken down.
Yes.
And then we'll.
If this motion passes tonight, the plan is to have Senior Building Inspector Sarich do his due diligence with regard to the building, including any asbestos abatement or any other environmental abatements that need to happen. Then contract upon approval with DPW for an estimate for the demolition and removal of the structure.
And that will be billed back to Wells Fargo.
Yes, property owner, whoever the property owner will be, whether it's the bank at this point, the foreclosure proceeding, or the previous owner.
You attach it to the taxes.
Yes, that's exactly how we do it. Attaching a lien on the property in accordance with chapter 162.
So then if it transfers from the owner to the bank during this process, we're still protected?
Yes,
Thank you.
Everyone's going to do the council.
yes.
Why is that?
Because no one else is going to do it.
We'll contract it.
What contract?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, we would have, the senior building inspector would get estimates for the removal. We ourselves would not do it, we would contract it. Well, they will get it, and I'm sure Trustee Keys is going to get the appraisal.
We're going to take it stuff down. We don't have time.
Brian, there's a foundation in the basement, right? Will that get closed down?
Yeah,
Yeah, when they do it.
that'll be one of the costs that we would tackle.
Okay, there was a motion, there was a second, all in favor? So carried, thank you. I'll go back to somebody from the bid, and it was not. Yeah, I think Dennis Smith was smart on vacation. Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy, what we're going to do is I'll take your basic chamber report, and then we're going to go right into that.
Absolutely.
So, opportunity while you're on.
Absolutely, yeah, real quick, just a couple of things that, first I want to thank the village and everybody who came down to our beautification dinner last week. It was a huge success, one of the largest crowds we had, and really appreciate everybody coming down and participating and the great support from the village. Just a couple of upcoming events this Saturday. We are co-sponsoring with the Suffolk County Coalition Against Domestic Violence, our second pet parade. It was a great success in September. This year, the organizer requested to do it in May. I do want to remind everybody that this is a fun event for a very important cause. Suffolk County Coalition Against Domestic Violence does a lot of great work in sheltering battered and abused women throughout the county. And this is a great awareness event. If you have a pet, please come on down, dress him or her up, and get a chance to win a prize. Look forward to working with you this week, Bill, and organizing that, and thank the Recreation Department for all the assistance.
What time is that, Dave?
9 o'clock is when registration is behind the Congregational Church. The parade will start right at 9:30. We've extended the parade to go all the way to Railroad Avenue. It'll go south on Railroad, east on Church, back up north on South Ocean, and then back east on Main Street, back to the church. At the end, there'll be a little pet fair. We'll have a little award ceremony, and there'll be some vendors there. We'll give you some information about the coalition, as well as some information for pet owners. So it should be a lot of fun. Looking like the weather's going to be nice so far. Following, I do want to highlight on May 18th will be the official opening of the Patchogue River. They'll be holding their annual Blessing of the Fleet. This is a much extended and expanded Blessing of the Fleet this year. Each location will be doing special bands and some music. We're actually going to have a permanent barge set up with the priests on it, and then we're going to ask the boaters to actually parade past the barge and bless the boats that way, as opposed to the way they did it in the past. And we're looking forward to that being a great way to open the season for all our Patchogue River businesses.
What's that?
May the 18th, Sunday, May the 18th.
Where are they going to have this barge?
They're going to have it at the cove, where the cove is, just outside that cove. People are familiar with it, where the Hess property is, just south of the apartments that are over there. And I also do want to highlight that same weekend, actually the day before, is the kickoff of our second annual Reggae in May. There's going to be 2 Saturdays in May that we're going to be having our Reggae in May celebration. Saturday, May 17th, the day before the Blessing of the Fleet, is when there'll be a bunch of reggae bands playing at all the riverfront restaurants. And they even come up with a cool concept that if you have a favorite reggae band that's performing, you can actually follow that band from place to place. All the 5 different bands are actually going to get on the water taxi and travel after they're done with one set, get on the boat, go over to another restaurant, and then get to the next set. So you're going to have a rotating group of musicians along the Patchogue River, so that alone is going to make it a spectacle to see how they pull that one off. So
David,
it'll be a lot of fun.
sorry, could I just ask the Navy, remind the riverfront that I don't think everybody's gotten their outdoor noise permits yet.
Okay,
So
I will
before that event happens.
definitely make sure that happens beforehand, absolutely. And then on May the 24th, the riverfront, the Main Street businesses will be doing the Reggae in May. There's a number of our Main Street businesses having reggae bands as well. And that'll be Saturday, May 24th. All right, so that's really it with the report. I want to thank the village for turning my time over now to allow business owners to just at least address some of the parking concerns and issues they've had since the new regulations were enforced. I'm just going to read just a statement to get everything going, and then I'm going to turn it over to the business owners. And so first, I just want to thank you for keeping the lines of communication open with our business owners and allowing for this opportunity. The village has gone to great lengths to make sure the voice of our business owners has been included in the creation of new parking strategies, and the Chamber is thankful for that. Still, now that the new parking regulations are enforced, some issues have come to the forefront. In particular, a growing number of business owners have been reporting to me large number of unhappy patrons who have received tickets or are having trouble figuring out the parking and how to use the machines. They've come into the stores angry, stating they'll never shop Patchogue again. Many also report having trouble using the machines. Now, this is something that should be expected. There's always time needed to learn something new.
And further, no one is ever happy receiving a ticket, and many are not shy to express their anger about it. But still, nothing can be more damaging to the morale of a business owner than an unhappy customer stating he'll never shop at their location again. So I just has a couple of little remedies that I was thinking about that hopefully can add to the discussion tonight as maybe to try to alleviate some of these concerns. And the first is that I would ask the village to maybe consider allowing a new grace period on parking regulations as well as adjusting the parking enforcement procedures. Now I recognize and we're very thankful that the village gave a full month of a grace period before they enforced the new parking regulations earlier this year. But still, keep in mind that that month was in the midst of a particular harsh winter that kept many from shopping downtown Patchogue. Now with the warmer weather, we're happy to see many people are returning and visiting our business district again, but they're still not aware of the meters and new parking regulations. So that's why I suggest a new grace period for a few weeks leading up to Memorial Day could be very helpful. In matter of fact, I would even propose that we would call this new grace period Parking in Patchogue Education Weeks. And use this time to hold forums, organize volunteer parking greeters that will be on the street to help educate people with the machines, along with considering other initiatives designed to educate the public about parking in Patchogue. Further, in regards to enforcement, I recommend we make enforcement as friendly or a little more friendly or as friendly as possible. In this day and age of improving technology, there has to be a system that can allow for a permanent parking enforcement procedure that always gives the first-time offender a warning only. Whether by license plate or registration number, I suggest any first-time parking offender be given a very friendly warning, thanking them for shopping Patchogue, alerting them that they're in violation, and then asking them to please be aware of that the next time they come down to visit. Then, any second-time offender, there is little ground for that person to argue that they weren't aware. This can also add to the education component of the new regulations as well. Now, I know the village did implement a similar policy and suggest this concept be made permanent, so a first-time offender will always avoid a ticket. The potential loss of revenue and fines would certainly be made up in the goodwill this policy could create. Another suggestion I have is revisiting the moratorium on new restaurants in Main Street. Now, when comparing Main Street Patchogue today to previous Patchogue heydays, obviously what stands out is the increased number of bar restaurants and entertainment venues and the decrease in our retail establishments. I think we can all agree that the average patron visiting a restaurant will have a longer parking need than the average retail patron. This is a direct cause of our current parking stress. Yet, as soon as a vacancy appears in our business district right now, a new restaurant proposal appears with it. With this said, I know the village just completed a similar moratorium. And the results of that moratorium did produce new legislation that requires new and expanding restaurants to contribute funding to support increased parking, which will be very helpful. Certainly the new restaurants and entertainment venues have had a tremendous positive effect on Patchogue, attracting thousands of new patrons, and that's wonderful. But as the number of these establishments continues to grow, the negative stress on our parking grows with it. It's not a stretch to state that we're currently at a tipping point when it comes to our parking situation. Parking issues are beginning to chip away at all the great success of the past decade. We continue to add to the stress. We can't continue to add to the stress. We need a new restaurant moratorium until plans to increase parking opportunities, such as expanded lots or parking structures, are more concretely underway. I think it's fair to state we are probably 2 years away from seeing any expansion to our downtown parking. We need to make a stand now to avoid approving anything that requires additional parking until we actually add some additional parking spaces. Now, I know I'm only stating the obvious in the middle of making some friendly suggestions to consider. Again, I commend the mayor and the village board for your leadership that has resulted in the resurgence of downtown Patchogue thus far. It is because of this I remain confident we will solve this issue and anticipate we will continue to include the needs and concerns of our local merchants and the business owners. Thank you, and I'll just turn it over to our business owners.
Thank you, David. What I'm going to ask is that as you come up to speak, if what you have to say is basically what the person before you had to say, we don't need to keep repeating the same issues. We really want to get to the core of the problem so we can help solve. And David, thank you very much. Your comments are well received. And if you have that in a written form,
Yes,
you
I
can
will
give
present
it
that, yeah.
to trustees. Yeah. Once a trustee, always a trustee. You give that to the village clerk so we can put it into the minutes and Larry, I appreciate it. Also, when you do come up, kind of limit your comments. One of the things we're not going to discuss, and Deputy Mayor Krieger is going to actually handle the hearing, is we will not get specific tickets and things like that. Those are things that our council will confirm are really dealt with before it gets to it. But, Deputy Mayor.
How many people are going to speak? Oh, good. Now, again, as the mayor said, we're here to listen, and as David's kindly mentioned, that we have worked with everybody with concerns and have addressed those things. And I've always said that our parking situation in Patchogue, the meter situation, is a fluid situation. We have adapted to many needs. We're putting more signs up. We're trying to educate people by putting signs up that say metered parking, strictly enforced, so everybody out there knows that they need to pay money in the meter. So, if you have questions, we will not take questions about if you've gotten a ticket and you're here to talk about a specific ticket that you've received, we will not address that issue, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's something that's got to be adjudicated, only because open tickets are pending in the justice court, so we can't address specific tickets. You want to talk about a hypothetical or a scenario or a vagary in the law or where some item is, please don't interpret the board's reluctance to address specific tickets or specific spots as rudeness. It is just that there are pending tickets, and those defenses would be raised by the justice court for the prosecutor.
And when you come up, please state your name and your address or business that you're here representing. Who's ready to speak? Lori.
Good evening, everybody. Lori Belmonte from the Colony Shop on Main Street. Just a few comments, a couple of ideas. One, the enforcement, they're very, very eager to get tickets. I had somebody come in the store, give me $1 for 4 quarters. By the time he got out to the meter, he already had a ticket. Very upset. I told him to come to Village Hall and fight it, but in the meantime, you're not even talking about a 5-minute time period. As far as signage, there are so many, signs on Main Street. I don't think people pay attention anymore. There's just too much signage. If you're going to put meters, especially in the parking lots, it's going to be suicide for the local business people, especially during the day. My customers are not going to pay to park in a parking lot. Part of the problem is not even that paying for putting the meters in the parking lot, there's no place to park. My customers are not going to park behind the library and walk to me. They're not going to park behind Chase Bank and walk to me. They want convenience. So my opinion is the parking in the parking lot should be free, and they have to ease up on enforcement. They need to give people time, even if they're shopping, and if their time runs out, there needs to be a grace period. That's it.
Just to address the grace, there is a grace period of 15 minutes. But we'll consider, I just want to let you know that.
Not all the time.
Never.
Never, because I've had customers tell me, by the time they get out to put meter in the meter, they've already gotten the ticket.
David.
Hello, David Ziegel, Minor Shoes, aka David Shoe Emporium, 66 East Main Street. As the proprietor of a 65-year-old business in Patchogue and owning it for the last 20 years and working here since I knew how to tie a shoe, I plead with you to rethink the metered parking in the lots. In this newly developing village, I may be considered part of the old guard. Definition to guard: a state in which someone is carefully looking for possible danger, threats, or problems. I feel like it is my responsibility to raise the awareness of the dangerous threat to our businesses and livelihoods by adding this additional toll on our customers, clients, and patrons. By adding this surcharge to their shopping and dining, you will end up with all the parking spots you need without building a single new lot. We could talk all night about what should have been done before the parking situation got to this point, but that is not going to solve the problems at hand. And I believe by adding the parking tax to the back lots, we will make things even worse. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David. Mark?
Mark Siegel from Blums. I've been up here before to tell you. I have a sign on my door. Everybody, most people see it. But I never used to stand outside the front. But lately, that's what I have to do. To sure that, and I'm showing people how to put money in the meter they don't have, or they can't figure it out. But in the back, when you put it in the back, I know you guys said you're going to do it 2 hours, and I explained to you before. A woman takes 3 hours to get a bathing suit. 3 hours.
It's gonna be 4 hours.
Oh, good. Okay, that's what I want to know.
There are
Okay.
some areas
Thank
going
you.
to be 4 hours, and
Thank
some
you.
areas going to
And
be
the
2
girls
hours.
keep bothering me about where they're going to park. I said, you park out there, kids. We get new customers every day from Nassau County, Queens. They see our advertisement, we advertise. 2 radio stations, Newsday, Pulse. I spend a lot of money on them. I don't know anybody else spends as much money as we do. But we are one of the biggest retailers in Patchogue left. So we're about to put a lot of money into our store in the Labor Day. A lot of money. Thank you.
And I just want to correct something that David, on David, just to let you know that in the parking lots, we have scheduled where most of the spaces will be free during the day, and then after 6 p.m. we'll go into pay.
Okay.
But most of them, the ones closest to the stores will be paid from 10 to the 2 a.m. But a vast majority of the space will be free up until 6 o'clock. So I'll address issues like that, so just to correct anyway. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Rafael from 612 Ocean Avenue. I'm on the new flower shop. Behind my store, I have 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I was wondering, as business owners, we would have like a sticker or we pay the GR parking because I can't go outside all the time.
Your lot will not be metered.
I have 2 hours parking.
You do have 2-hour limits,
Yes.
but we're working on that lot right now. We're working on some changes on the signage. We put new signs up, and then we've got a request from another business there to adjust that. We're working on that to make it where there's no limit, so you can park there all day if you need to.
Okay.
Okay? We're working on that.
Okay,
It should be
thank you.
solved in the next few weeks.
Hi, Georgia Stevens, lifelong resident of Patchogue on Jane Avenue. Aside from all my personal issues about parking, I won't get into those, but I want to address something that has been pretty much dear to my heart, supposed jewel in the crown of Patchogue, the theater, which has been responsible for bringing in so many restaurants and so on. And what is going to be done about theater parking? I know I have volunteered there over 15 years, and it has already affected advanced sales because people are already worrying about the parking. As volunteers, they are also concerned, and you know the average age of the volunteer at the Patchogue Theater. And they're not going to be running out in the middle of a show if it's 4 or 5 hours. They're there sometimes all day and run out and feed a meter or do whatever, or park miles away to volunteer. So you volunteer, but you have to pay to volunteer, and it's not pay. Obviously, it's an inconvenience. And when Gateway has their shows, the matinees particularly, Some of the people can't even walk in, much less park, God only knows where. So I was trying to get some information on free parking here. And what we get out of that was, there'll be free parking, but they don't know where. And nobody seems to understand, say, the library and whatever. That's just, mainly I'm concerned with the theater, and I know it's affecting the sales.
I'm concerned with theater too.
Okay.
One of the things, behind the Congregational Church, that entire parking lot will be free
That's
24
still
hours
going
a
to
day.
be free.
By the theater, strictly behind Blum's and those areas, that's going to be metered for 4 hours during the day, and then the ones behind them will be free. So it's that first section that's going to be metered, and everything behind that and the Congregational Church will be free all the time.
Now, I know particularly at evening shows, a lot of the women would like to park on Main Street, because they felt safer going in and out of the theater, 11 o'clock at night and so on. So is there going to be anything nearby where people like that will be able to park or get some kind of,
We haven't discussed that yet as
Yeah.
far as free, because we have a lot of volunteers in the village. We
yeah,
have a lot of,
right, I
we
know.
have a lot of people that, and we're discussing different options on how to solve those situations. So we're addressing it.
Okay, thank you.
Next. Anyone else? Yes.
I don't have any notes. I'm Trustee from that Maple Place. A couple of things that we were talking about in our business. Number one, I live in Port Jefferson, so I've seen what's happened down there and how a lot of my friends that own restaurants and bars in the village are really frustrated with what happened down there. And they're now happy that it's happening to us down here because they feel like a lot of the people that live in the middle of Long Island, say in Core and Middle Island, they can go north or they can go south. They've all been coming south, and the North Shore has suffered because of it. And talking to a friend today that was unhappy with what happened to his business because of the parking, he said, well, finally, now it's going to be equal. You guys can suffer as much as we did. Now, with that being said, we know it's not going to go away. We don't want the lot behind us to be metered. That would be really difficult for even our employees and the customers and whatnot. I guess what we're looking for is solutions. Maybe a trolley car that can take people somewhere, that can pick you up and take you back and forth to a lot because it is so hard. Maybe a lot that you can park in, but then there's going to be like a big arm that would go up and down, and people could stay as long as they like. And on the way out, they would get to validate their coupon and then pay whatever it is they need to pay. I don't know if that is something that could be done, especially behind us. Another problem that we see is that people are drinking and driving in any of the establishments. Then they're getting ticketed for leaving their car there when they're trying to just be safe and not get behind the wheel. That's kind of an issue that I've heard people complain about. It's just trying to find a solution because as much as we hear a lot of good things happening in Patchogue, it's kind of like they go, oh, Patchogue is doing amazingly well, and it looks beautiful, and the restaurants, and the way the vibe is amazing, and then you hear about the parking. And it's kind of like you hear this and you hear this. And every person that has been to our establishment over the last 4 months, like, oh, it's so great, but the parking. So I don't know if there are solutions, maybe getting people to, I know in 2 years they're going to build something, but that's still 2 years away. We don't want to turn all those people away that have now been reunited with Patchogue and now get them, I don't know where else they're going to go, but, where we don't want to turn them off again. Now that they're all coming back here, and you guys worked so hard at building it back up, what can we do to not have it decline? Because I've watched it happen in Port Jeff. I'm sure you guys know people on the board of Port Jeff, and it's terrible. I'm a resident, so I don't have to pay, but I watch people struggle at these machines, And what they did in Port Jeff was at 10 o'clock, then they stopped collecting money at 10 o'clock on the weekends. And sometimes that's hard, if people go from one establishment to the other, and your car's all the way down by the Emporium, and you want to hang out at Gaio, you don't want to walk all the way back to, I know you can validate from anywhere, but, you know, to have to worry about getting your car out, if it's in the meter lot behind us, when that becomes metered, those are all things that people are going to be concerned with, so just some of my thoughts, suggestions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next. Trustee Clark.
No, I'll let
I'm Kathleen Zagaris, Family Valley Center. We've been here in this town over 56 years, and we're proud of that. Parking has helped in the past, and it doesn't help us at all now. I've got, the same as everyone else says, I hate to repeat it, but it has to be repeated. Customers telling me they're going to go elsewhere, and with internet business, that happens all the time to us. Teachers wanting us to move, but Patchogue has been our home, and we really don't want to move. So something really needs to be done. Also, we have a lesson program, which is our mainstay for income, and customers will pull them back to the store. They have no place to park every half hour, coming and going. And they get bullied a lot when they pull up in the back of the store about moving. And I think if we had some kind of a loading zone, if they could pull in and out, would be a little helpful. Yeah, it would help a little bit. Also, as people turn into the street, there has to be a stop sign there. People go speeding down past the arts building, and you can't, when there's cars parked that you can't see, and they're constantly speeding down that way. So there needs to be something to slow it down a little bit.
Take a look at that, thank you.
Can you spell your last name for the record? I'm sorry.
Yes, it's Zguris.
Glad I asked.
Trustee Clark.
Good evening, everyone. I'm representing the Congregational Church, which has been on Main Street since before the turn of the previous century and has been in existence in this village for nearly 225 years. Now, that having been said, we need, on occasion, to be able to block 2 spaces in front of the church.
Just to save a little time, I communicated with the Reverend on this, like 2 weeks ago. And the cone, he'll be able to put the cones out when there's a wedding or a funeral or anything like that.
Well, if you could resolve the sandwich board issue, but we're not going to invest in the sandwich board until we know what the dimensions are legally, etc. So as soon as that gets resolved, we won't have to worry about cones.
Yeah, the cones seem to work fairly well.
All right. Well, as you can appreciate, we are in a unique situation.
Yes.
And
we make exceptions for the clergy.
okay, because there were problems. Now, can I switch to being a resident of the village? Okay. We have wonderful restaurants here. And I used to be in the private catering business, so I know what it means to book a reservation and get all the materials together and then have someone cancel at the very last minute. I have been talking to friends of mine who do not live in the village. I have not done this myself personally and never would. But these are individuals who do not live in the village. And they tell me that they routinely make 3, possibly 4 dinner reservations at various restaurants in the village, all for the same time, let's say 7 o'clock. And they drive by the restaurants and they go to the first one that has an available space in front of it. And if they don't find a space, they go to Sayville.
They won't park in the back.
They go to Sayville, they'll go to Bellport, they'll go wherever. They'll go to Port Jeff even, which is, a bit of a hike, but they'll go to Port Jeff. So I'm not in the restaurant business.
We have your friends' names and phone numbers.
Yeah, right. Put them on the watch list for anybody at the restaurant.
I have strongly chastised them for doing this. I think it is absolutely wrong, but they're not the only ones. So this is take into consideration.
But even when you go to the mall at Christmas, you can't find a spot right in front. I mean, people have to walk any place that's popular. No matter how much parking you have, you can't create more parking in front of whatever.
Okay.
You really can't.
Well, I've also heard from someone who owns a restaurant that he
Yeah.
knows.
But it
this is
sounds like
happening.
they're looking for proximity, and creating more parking a block away won't create more
No,
proximity.
I'm just telling you,
No,
that you need to be aware of
I
that.
am 100%.
And I'm sure the restaurant owners are aware of it, unfortunately.
Well, I 100% agree with you, but the unfortunate part about it is that even, in the worst of times, we had more parking than we ever knew what to do with empty lots. We always thought we had an adequate amount of parking. The success of the places such as Meatballs, Parabell's, Gaio, the restaurants, their success has created the problem that we have. I never expected, I don't think any of us expected, but this is the situation we're in. And one of the reasons for the meters themselves is so we have the funding to be able to create the additional parking that we need. One of the things that we can't do, we can't go to the resident taxpayer. The guy down on Cedar Avenue, the guy up on Jane Avenue, the guy up on Maple Avenue, and ask them to pay for the parking to support the businesses on Main Street. In 1959-60, Mayor George Electric and Mayor Bob Wallrauer, they set up a business use district. And they taxed the businesses themselves. And that was the other option we had. Is do we create a business use district and do what those gentlemen, those administrations had done at that point in time. I felt, this board felt, it was less onerous on the businesses. Taxes are strangling us as we are. It was to be able to just say, okay, for 25 cents a half hour, or $5 for the whole night, let the person who's coming in and spending $100 a night over the bar spend 105, and keep that taxing pressure away from the businesses. Over the last 3 years, 3.5 years, businesses exploded on Main Street. And right, we commended for what's happened and the fact that it has happened. But now we have to deal with the consequences of that success. There's always those unintended consequences that you have when you have success. And I think that it's our responsibility to try to figure it out. And I think you're right. We've already started to do appraisals on certain properties. We take a look at the properties. Beginning to take a look at the funding now that's going through the years. What we'll be able to bond, and be able to purchase, and be able to do, and how quickly can we get it done? Because I think what I'm hearing here, it's not just an issue of doing it, but there's the urgency of doing it. That it is about taking care of it, not 2 years down the road, but come up with some solutions very quickly. And make no mistake about it, this board doesn't sit on every line we never have making decisions. I'm a very impatient person. I like board meetings with 5 and 6 people there because people are reasonably happy the way things are. These are not comfortable meetings. They're not comfortable for us. They're not comfortable for those that have to come up and quote register what they consider. That I don't consider a complaint, but they may consider a complaint that they're doing. It's not comfortable for you, and it's definitely not comfortable for us. Because what you're basically doing is you're challenging us to do what we're elected to do. And make no mistake about it, you take that part of it tremendously seriously. So, then I think the suggestions by David, the suggestions brought up are important ones. I think one of the ones that I found most interesting, and I hadn't really thought much about it until it was said, was the fact that we'll give a ticket to somebody who left their car on Main Street because they took a cab home. And now we give them a $25 ticket. They got probably a $45 cab ride and a $25 ticket. They're doing what they consider to be the right thing to do. We're going to punish them for that. I think that's up to them.
I agree, but it's, how do we know that when the car's sitting on Main Street, it's.
Well, it's at the time we decide to stop doing tickets.
Or maybe that's it, maybe we stop earlier.
Yeah, we take a look at that. But I think it's a suggestion, and it's something I hadn't thought much about, but now that you say it, it's tremendous.
Yeah, just one of the things I just want to reiterate. First of all, how many more people want to speak? Oh, everybody's getting energized, huh? If you're going to say what somebody else said, if you have something new and fresh, please present it. But if it's the same, let's try to get this completed. In case you don't realize it, the money that is being collected by the parking meters goes into a specific fund to be able to pay for new parking, to light parking lots. Because free parking isn't really free. The village taxpayers have to clean the parking lots, light the parking lots, secure the parking lots, make them safe, resurface them, restripe them, do all those things, and those things cost money. This money from the parking meter goes into that fund specifically for parking, nothing else. And as the mayor said about purchasing properties, building tier parking, or whatever, we're looking at about a $10 million project to bring more parking into the village. Because it's not just finding a space and putting a parking lot. We've got to buy properties, and then you've got to demolish them, then you've got to build parking lots. And property's not cheap. And I spoke to our treasurer today and talked about how much would it be to cost the village taxpayers to bond about $10 million over 30 years, and it's about $500,000 a year. Now, I think most people who are paying attention to government know that we are under a 2% tax cap, which makes it even that more difficult to do these kind of things on the taxpayer's dollar. So, as the mayor said, we need to look at other ways to do that, whether it's to tax the business owners to pay for that $500,000 a year, and you do the math, and I'm sure Lori or anybody else who owns a business here would certainly not like to get taxed any more than they're getting taxed today. So we look at the parking meters as being used by those people who utilize the service, which are the people from mostly out of town who are using the services.
Which isn't a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing at all. It's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, because if our businesses had to rely on only village residents to do business in the village, we wouldn't have a booming downtown. But somebody's got to pay for that parking. And if the business owners prefer to be taxed on it, we can work on something. And add an additional tax to each business, and then we can build these lots and build tier parking and to increase our parking. There are 3 or 4 different locations now that we're looking at to increase our parking system. So if the business owners, the Chamber of Commerce want to put together a plan and say, okay, tax us, we will do it. So that's all I have to say. Next. Larry?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Board of Trustees. My name is Larissa Fiala. I live at 18 Roosevelt Boulevard, East Patchogue. I do own commercial property at 83 South Ocean Avenue in Patchogue. I had an opportunity last month to show the upper level of my building to an insurance company that had 12 employees. Well, the end of the story is, the second time they came to really talk business with me, they couldn't park. So they said, let us know if something happens, lightens up, and the parking is better. And they have moved on. People come to our village for convenient shopping. They know we'll have a certain things. My business, the Colony Shop, is quite like a niche. And they know what we'll have pretty much. They call up, you have it. But when they can't park, they're very frustrated. Another thing I would like to say, as we are now mentioning restaurants, my Lions Club has met at the Brick House Brewery for a few years. They're very happy. The service is good, the food is good, it's easy to get to. But now with the parking, all we hear is moaning and groaning. We tell them, park behind us and we will walk together. But that doesn't work. Some of the ladies just want to be within like 5 minutes and that's it. So they've talked about moving to other locations, Belport, Sayville, and we say, how is the Patchogue Lions Club meeting in not Patchogue? We're fighting tooth and nail to keep these ladies, 32 ladies, coming once a month to the Brick House Brewery. And we hope we can continue to have them stay in Patchogue to this nice restaurant. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Your Honor, members of the board. My name is Jerry Stein. I'm the exalted ruler of the Elks Lodge on Oak Street. Our organization has been in this village since 1915. We're now in our second building. It's the own. Our rolls at this point are about 160 members. Our median member age is about 65. There's no place for these people to park. I don't know what we're going to do. We hold meetings. We do a lot of philanthropical things, as you all know. We really need some help here. I don't know what else to tell you, but you're going to drive us out of town, and I don't know where we go.
No, my question is there no place to park because the parking lot is full?
At this point, primarily, yes. But when you meter it, most of our members are retired fixed income people. They just can't do it.
But that whole one. Okay, continue, sorry. No, I was going to make a comment, but
Well, we do need some help. And since we have so many members, one of the things that we can do, if possible, if you could give us some kind of largesse for our members to park on meeting nights or whatever, something. We had something a couple of years ago with our then exalted ruler, Scott Solano arranged. We really need some help.
what was that you arranged?
We had a little sticker thing that we put on our windows, and it allowed us to park. And we weren't ticketed. But we just need something. I mean, I've got a lot of seniors. The seniors, one of the weekly things that we sponsor is this group of seniors that come into our lodge once a week at no charge. They've already told us that they can't.
Now, what time is that meeting?
Their meetings would normally be, they're early because of who they are, 6-ish, and they leave about 8. Most of our meetings are at 7 and go to 9 or 10. We have a dinner this Thursday, the Junior Diabetes Foundation. We raise a lot of money for them, and they're coming to our dinner. We're going to work with the check. We do the same thing for veterans organizations, school organizations. We're getting involved with Girl Scouts at this point. We're involved in a couple of Boy Scout troops. There was a court of honor at our lodge yesterday, Eagle Scout. We do an awful lot. Any monies we come up with that are above and beyond our operating costs, we are mandated by Grand Lodge, have to go back to the community. And we do that, that's what we're here to do, but we can't operate if we don't have any parking.
Unfortunately, at that time of the evening, you're competing for parking spaces with Parabel, Gallo.
I understand, and I am fortunately young and able enough that I can park and walk, but a lot of our members just can't.
Maybe those nice young people who go to those restaurants with parking behind the Congregational Church will leave the rest of the spaces for you.
Right. If anything that you can do to help us, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good evening. My name is John Hess. I'm executive chef of that meatball place. And the problem that you have here tonight, the problem we have here in this village, I would venture a guess to say that many villages on Long Island would love to have your problem. I think it's a direct reflection of the great job you guys have done. This village has really come back. It's really exciting to be here. A couple things that I've noticed. I get to work sometimes on a Sunday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I see enforcement officers ticketing cars that were left overnight. It happens pretty much every Sunday morning. I've also seen enforcement officers at midnight going through the parking lot with flashlights, looking at people's windshields for their inspection stickers and registration stickers. I think that's a little bit of harassment. We're all in the people business. We want to make people happy. People come to spend money, don't mind paying for parking. One thing that I would offer the restaurant business is a people business. We have a lot of people working for us. Sometimes I may have 25 people working at a shift. Look at every restaurant, 20 people in every restaurant. The parking lot's full of employees parking. I don't like that. I have no room for my customers. So maybe we can get some kind of shuttle service or trolley service or taxi service to park people remotely. We probably wouldn't mind paying for that because, again, that's more room for our customers. Maybe at the railroad station or somewhere else.
I think that'd be a great idea if the chamber or the BID wanted to, pay for a shuttle bus or whatever for their employees. It's a terrific idea. Because I travel around the parking lots is what I do for my enjoyment. And I'll go into your parking lot on Church Street at about 8:30 on a Thursday morning. I take my son to school, and there's more than 50 cars already parked in that lot, and those aren't customers. Those are employees from different various businesses. So in a parking lot that I think has 250 spaces or so, before 9 in the morning, 50 of those spaces are already taken up. So, you're right with the employees.
I work a 12 to 14 hour day. My car's in that lot for 14 hours. So that's, getting that up is.
Employees should be parking furthest away, no matter where, whatever the business is.
Another comment I have is in the wintertime, it's very hard to see the numbers on the street to figure out the parking meter, which parking meter you're
Well,
at.
we have instructed the officers that if the numbers are not readable during the snowstorms or whatever, that they don't. Thank you. Yes.
Christy Joe Lang, 244 Ryder Avenue. I don't own a business. On Friday, I went to do some banking at Bank of America. My accounts have been there since my family moved here from the city many gazillion years ago. I would prefer to keep my accounts there. On Friday, at about 10 o'clock in the morning, I went to go do some business. 5 minutes I was going to be in there. There was no parking. When I went inside and saw that there were 5 people in the bank, I questioned, whose cars are these? They are the construction workers. They park all behind the bank. They park in the fire department parking lot. They've taken up all the stalls at the dialysis place. They also park in the dirt lot behind Gardening Village. So my question is, I pay almost $4,000 a year in taxes. Where do I park? I'm not paying for parking. Now, I've listened only maybe 10 minutes up here, and I've heard no solutions, no try to seize. It's easy. You have paid parking Monday through Saturday. Your business hours for someone like me are 9 to 5. Colony Shop is open 9 to 5. Why can't you stop the paid parking Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, so that someone like me can patronize the store? Someone like me can go to the bank. I don't mind the whole bar thing, that's fine, and all the restaurants, that's fine. But there is a business hour, 9 to 5 on Main Street, that no one seems to be addressing. And the whole thing is as a taxpayer, when do you start listening to me? My other thing is does the Four Corners get a tax break for the next 10 years? I wasn't sure about that.
Parts of it does.
Parts of it does.
And then it escalates very quickly.
So I'm paying for parking behind the bank, they are not. Do you see what I'm saying? So when do I get to park?
You as a resident will not have to pay for parking in the lots. Okay, parking on Main Street, everybody has to pay for parking on Main Street. And that's, understand that. So you will be able to park free in the lots. Now, when you went to the bank, did you go to the Church Street lot, or what lot did you look at, or just on Main Street? Because the issue on Main Street, and one of the reasons why the meters are on Main Street, was because we had the problem of store owners and employees parking there all day. And it was really, stopping people from parking there like yourself. And now, if you go down Main Street on a regular day, especially in the morning, you'll see spaces on Main Street. You happen to be there at a time when it might have been busy. Now, what's going on behind the bank is,
That's a fight that we'll be having.
that's a fight that we're having with, but let me just continue. The construction people parking, we have addressed that issue throughout the village. And behind the bargain village, the TriTech has leased that property out. So the construction people do park there. But we want them to park there. We've had this situation in the Oak Street lot, which we signed to make sure that nobody was parking there before 8 a.m. because the workers come there before 8 a.m. So it moved them out of the Oak Street lot. We've had that problem on South Ocean Avenue where the doctor's offices are, you know that strip of doctor's offices behind 89 North? We had the same problem, so they moved from Oak Street to 89 North parking lot, so we signed that lot. Now they don't park there. Now they're like, ants looking for a place to go, and we're pushing them out. Our next goal is to get them out of the Church Street lot. So we're pushing them to that lot over on behind the bargain building. And in the hospital, that's not our lot, and I don't believe that they're allowing anybody to park in there, I don't know, the construction guys, unless TriTech has, yeah.
There was not one.
I don't know about, that's not a village lot, so that's.
It was all construction, because I watched them walking.
All right,
But on Friday, when I went to park behind the bank, all the lots on Main Street were empty. No one was utilizing a paid parking space. That's what I'm saying. I don't have a problem with parking at night, even on the weekends. I know all these people complain, but I seem to find a parking space in the lot to go to the restaurant. Absolutely. But like I said, during Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, there's people who are shopping. The other thing is like Brick House Brewery. I don't know how they have a lunch crowd. I don't know how, and especially Brick House, I don't know how they have a lunch crowd because there is no parking.
Well, I
none.
think people have learned that if you need to go to a place like that, you have to park behind Church Street or whatever.
There was no parking behind the Old Knights of Columbus. There was no parking back there. And part of that is because the library employees were told to park there.
Well,
Because now the library employees are not allowed to park behind the library. So when I tell you there was no parking on Friday, there was no parking on Friday. And like I said, if you find something, some place for the construction workers, at least to go, or block off 10 parking spaces. Like I said, your business is 9 to 5 during Monday through Friday. There is a way of...
If you do that, Christie, if you open up that Main Street parking from 9 to 5 free, those spaces will be filled all day. You will never get a parking space. Lori, you remember
True.
those days?
Yes.
Right? They will be filled
That's
with
why we're
people.
fighting you not, asking you not to meet at the parking lot. Let them pay to park on Main Street, but please don't meet at the parking
So
lot.
that was the issue. I mean, parking meters came to the forefront when people were saying, you can't find parking space on Main Street because people would be parking there all day. Business owners. Now, you tell me, I don't know, it seems to me that shouldn't be. But it
I know
was,
that whole story.
you know.
But like I said,
We are working on that with the construction guys.
and it's very rare that I go to the bank, but on the day that I do go for 5 minutes, that I have to go inside instead of using an ATM, there should be some sort of parking there, even if it's 5 spaces that patrons can utilize.
Like we have,
Yeah, we may have to put some 15-minute or 30-minute spots there.
That's fine. The other thing is I just need to say something. I don't mind giving every dime I have of tax dollars to code enforcement because I think that they do an amazing job. They really try to keep this village clean. I've never had a qualm with code enforcement. I will give you an idea. We're a very small village that a lot of people are starting to move into. Why don't we try looking at how we can utilize code enforcement and kind of making it like a gated community, where we use our boundaries as like a gated and they become our own safety. Like, I know they're ours, but utilizing them more than we, you know what I'm saying? Like, try to utilize them even more. I would love to say that I live in a gated or somewhat gated community than like the projects of Patchogue. Do you understand what I'm saying? This village is a beautiful village. I love it. I love living down south, even though it takes me 20 minutes to get to Sunrise Highway. I still love it. But like I said, for 5 minutes, I'm sure that you can find a solution instead of, I just feel like a lot of, okay, I'm giving you an idea. Whether
Well, we're
it's
not gonna
5
come up
parking
with solutions
spaces.
right here tonight, we're taking in all the information.
But like I said, at least I stood up here and gave you some sort of idea. Hopefully you'll take it. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Take a look at it.
Dennis? Oh, I'm sorry.
Dan?
Evening. Dan Welsh. I'm one of the partners, one of the owners of 89 North Music Venue, and I also own another business in the village, Suffolk Recording Studios, which is in the same building as the Elks Lodge, right behind Blum's. Probably going to repeat some of the things that some of the other people said, but maybe I'll put another twist on it. But just to put a finer point or an emphasis, I went to the New York State Liquor Authority training. I'm tip certified, even though I'm not a bartender, but I own a bar, so I'm certified. And at that class, they really pounded it into you. Get a person into a cab who's drunk. Let him leave his car. Don't let him drive. Do everything you can to get the guy in the cab. Give him the money if you have to. Okay? Safety first. So I think it's important that something be worked out so that somebody who leaves their car overnight because they took a cab home, or even somebody else drove them home, and then they come and finally get a ticket for leaving their car overnight.
I think that as the village attorney mentioned earlier today, that would be something that would be addressed in the court.
Yeah, so it's something we can do in terms of policy, in terms of how we give out tickets.
I mean, we would have to change our time. I mean,
So then we can decide.
it would have to be, somebody would have to have something to put in their car as I parked my car here because I was drunk. Because there are some people who just leave their car to go home with somebody else.
Oh yeah,
Believe me, it happens in the
that
village,
happens,
I'm sure.
sure.
It happens on a regular basis. So, you know, I mean, how do we regulate that? And we have one of our officers here who can probably attest to the fact that, you know, many cars are left in the parking lots, and probably some with signs in there, or somebody will write a note and say, look, you know, I left my car here because it wouldn't start, or I was drunk, or whatever. And I think that's, you know, something that we can address, maybe giving out tickets until 12 o'clock or whatever. But, you know, think of the difficulty it is for our officers to have to make that determination of why this car is parked here overnight.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then technically, you're not supposed to park a car in a village. What's the code, right? Yeah, parking a car in a village lot is in violation of village code overnight.
I think that's, which it really is something we have to take a look at, because who we are as a community has changed from who we were.
Right.
When we were doing retail, that was like overnight. You know, unless,
So what's the harm in the car being there anyway?
well, because, well, we don't on Sunday morning, get it on Saturday morning, but, you know, cleaning of the lots, just, you know, it's part of the code, it's probably part of the code, it's like 62, I would suspect. It's one of what I voted.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at it, and I think that it's a point well taken. You want people, you don't want some guy to say, you better drive your car home because otherwise you're going to get a parking.
Right.
And that's the unintended consequence. Is the guy who's gotten it once says, the hell with it, it cost me $60 the last time.
Yeah, I'll take my chances, I'll drive.
Right. Take my chances.
We want to avoid that.
And so we have to be very cognizant of that fact, and come up with a plan that doesn't make it.
Right.
Because all we are then is just forcing it away.
Now, I know a lot of people have talked about, like the woman just before, about the problems during the day. She can't get in the bank, that's a daytime problem. 89 North, most of our business is at night, and we have the same problem too. I've had clients, or customers, whatever you want to call them, who have come to 89 North, religiously since we've opened, and recently have told me they're being a little pickier about which shows they come to. They're only coming to their favorite shows that I'm putting on because they're just getting tired of looking for a parking space.
Now, when you opened the business, did you realize that at all, or it's just something that just happened after you opened and you realized that, wow, this...
It seems to have gotten really aggravated in the last year. It never came up the first year we were open. We celebrated our second anniversary April 6th.
What do you think caused that change?
I think there's just more happening in the village. You know, more places, more faces. You know, and as you've already repeated many times, it's a good problem to have. You know, when I moved here in '85, and it was like a ghost town. You know, half the stores were empty. You know, so it's a huge change. It's a good change. I'm part of it. But I don't know if you...
Now, how many, on a Good Friday night, how many people are in your business? And how many employees? I just get round up.
Well, in terms of people coming through the door, it could be anywhere. Some people come just for the early band, some people come for the late band. It could be 300 to 500 people.
And how many employees?
10, 12. You know, you actually have to count the band, because they're really employee of the night, so more like 20.
20 employees and 500 people
Right.
around it, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, and my recording studio draws people from all over Long Island, even from the city, to record, although admittedly in small numbers. You know, I don't draw like a retail store like Blum's does. I mean, they're select who come there. If they have to pay for parking meters, I'm probably going to have to reimburse them for that. Otherwise, they won't come because that's, you know.
They won't have to because the parking, the Congregational Church lot is all free. So they can drop their equipment off and park Congregational Church. About a 1 minute walk from regular businesses. So there'll be enough free parking in the area.
Okay. Well, anyway, that was the points I wanted to make.
Thank you. Dennis?
Make this the last question, last comment, please.
Yeah, this will be the last comment. Always to Dennis.
Being board, Dennis Foster, Main Street, and Trustee, I haven't met you yet, thank you. Congratulations. I say drop those meters tomorrow in those lots. The meters have solved parking problems in this village. I'm sorry, you people, you're wrong. The meters are solving problems, they're not creating them. The lots.
Look at us, Dennis.
I'm sorry.
Address us.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
They don't vote.
The spots split on the metered lots in the 15-minute zones. They have a slip of paper, drop those meters tomorrow, and then see where your problem is. It's impossible to tell what your problem is because, as one gentleman, the last gentleman to be here in the village, said it's the employees that are causing the problems. 300 employees on a Friday night. You know, that's the 30th parking.
We didn't say 300 employees.
No.
Oh.
300 employees, I'm sorry.
No, and that's something we really have to do.
Drop those meters tomorrow and put the paper in the slip and watch the problem solve itself. Because the employees aren't going to pay. And everybody wins.
Well, that's one of the things that we're really struggling with is how to accommodate the employees because you don't want to, you don't want employees who, and most of these employees are restaurant people. They're working at barkeeps and waitresses and waiters and things like that. And, to charge them an exorbitant amount of money to park in the village, to rip their paychecks apart. So we're still working on a plan to how to get all this.
They could park it free beside me in Briarcliff. I park in Briarcliff and walk it.
Well, the ideal thing would be the employees to park way far away and walk to where they're going. We know that's not going to happen, so we have to try to come up with a better solution.
I say put the meters out, get the number of the spots, use the paper. It'll solve.
Excuse me. I know you said no more, but I waited my whatever time. I got about a 5-minute comment, if you don't mind.
I'm just trying to bring this into an end.
I know. I won't repeat it. Mike Narduli, South Country Road, Belfort, and if it helps, I grew up on Bay Avenue.
Did you?
I did.
Wait, can you spell your last name?
Nardulli.
What's Which side of Bay Area?
This side, your
It
side.
helps.
I know. I have a business on Main Street, so when you talk about employee parking, I'm guilty. I started off with 3 or 5, I went to
What's your
14.
business?
Independent adjustment, we handle insurance claims. If I haven't seen you, you haven't lost your house, which is good.
What's your address?
If I say on the back side of 22 Main,
Where is that, 22 acres?
Gino's,
Oh, okay.
I do live. If you walked in the alley and taken a Facebook photo, I've seen you, because everybody takes them in my windows. They're not one-way glass, and two-way glass, just on over. In the meantime, going forward, everything else has been said, I'll hash it out, I won't go over that, but I have a complaint about one of your businesses in town. Lars, we all know who it is. They like to block off spots when they have an event. They'll put out metal barriers, almost like a bike rack, in front of 6, 8, or 10 spots. They're bringing 2 or 3 buses. The bus problem hasn't been as bad because they don't think they have as many buses coming in, but their private lot was grassed over. They took away their parking. They put an outdoor beer garden there. In the recent months, maybe a year now, however time goes fast, they repaved that. There's a sign that says now employee parking only until 8 p.m., which means the public can't park in that lot. Customer parking after 8 p.m.
That's their lot, they own that lot.
I understand that. But remember, we're sharing the same lots here. That might be theirs, and they use ours if you want to put mine or yours. In the meantime, what I'd like to see happen though is they block off spots for an event, which I don't think is right nor is it fair. I did make a call I think it was Thursday, I came back late afternoon, there was no parking. I called the village, I spoke to a code officer, he said there's nothing that says they can do that, and there's nothing to stop me from taking the barrier and putting my truck in. So if that's something that can be looked at, but they're blocking out 8, 10 spots for
That's
their events.
incorrect. We have ticketed buses parked there, and anytime they bring in a tractor trailer or a bus, we have, and if it's reported, now somebody's got to report it, and I'm glad you did, and that's what I tell everybody. Whenever they see something, report it, call Village Hall, because we will give them a ticket for every space that they take. In fact, somebody who is part of the aquarium came to me and said, well, thanks a lot for ticketing I got 8 tickets.
And we'll say that they've managed to make spots on their own land for their bus. But they still block off, they move the buses onto the blacktop, which is their land, and they still block off whatever those 10 spots are.
Well, anytime you see that, just call it.
It's every Thursday, every Friday, every Saturday, now Mondays, now Tuesdays. I shouldn't have to call them because the code guys are there all the time, and they see.
Well, they'll probably get tickets then.
For blocking the spot. And the second thing for me is, if they have a private lot now that I can't park on before 8 p.m., do we have their dumpsters removed from your parking lot to free up 3 spots? Tough one.
The dumpsters, they pay spaces. And they have dumpster permits.
All right, in that case, I could at least have the spot, those areas clean on a regular basis.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you. Dave, you've been up once already.
I know, just one quick comment.
Real quick, how's your dad doing anyway?
My dad's doing good. The meters on Main Street. Any way there could be a canopy for rainy days. Because people spend a lot of time trying to figure out the machines, they're getting soaked. Because there's like 5 different steps you have to do to put money in the machine.
Yeah,
I know it has a solar panel on top, which makes it difficult, but some type of clear.
We considered it, the cost is, unless the chamber wants to sponsor it, we'd be more than happy to take the chamber to sponsor that or sponsor it. We can have advertising on it as well. Yeah, and they become informal shelters for other kind of sheltering. We are considering putting them in the parking lots.
Some type of like umbrella type of thing.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody who came down here tonight, especially I'd like to thank Dave Kennedy. Dave, you've been very instrumental in helping out here. And anybody who has their concerns, you can email them to me at jkrieger@patchoguevillage.org if you have anything else to say, or leave a message here at Village Hall. And will take into consideration things that you said. And I'm glad everybody came here tonight because it helps us. As I've always said, this is a very fluid process, and the only way we're going to make it work is with the cooperation of the store owners and the residents too, because they have to be part of it also. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You don't want half the
Oh, yeah, no, and there's actually an online thing now.
Along with the restaurant people.
Please take it to the hallway. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
When are they going to send
Good question. They gotta show up. They need to check
He wants to know where we are tonight, huh?
Trustee Krieger.
I'd like to request approval authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with the First United American Life Insurance Company as an additional choice for retirees' health insurance company. I'd like to request approval authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with EVO Merchant Services to provide credit card services to be used for payments in the village clerk's office. Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Trustee Keys.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I think I'll just do my wish list tonight, so it'll be for next time. Request approval to hire parking lot to provide the signage. Request approval to hire park line to provide the signage for the meter installation at Terry Oak and Church Street lots at a cost not to exceed $28,500.
Motion second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Request approval to hire Diamond Construction to provide and install a new catch basin at Amity Street and West Avenue at a cost not to exceed $6,000.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Request approval to hire H2M to provide engineering services related to the River Avenue Sewer Extension Project at a cost of not to exceed $2,300. Second.
Favor?
Aye. Thank you. Request approval to hire Jadico Construction Corporation to install curb and sidewalks on the north side of Terry Street from the parking lot east to Taylor Lane at a cost not to exceed $35,000. Motion.
All in favor?
Three, request approval to hire Jadico Construction Corp. to install curb and sidewalks on the west side of West Avenue in front of the National Seashore at a cost not to exceed $10,000. Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have tonight.
Trustee Police.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick letter I'd like to read to the village residents. The Village Department of Building and Housing will be conducting ride-by inspections of all residential properties with property maintenance violations. Those properties that are in violation of Code 238-43 will be notified by mail. Such violations will include exterior surfaces such as paint, fences, yard debris, and other property issues. Homeowners will be given until July 1st, 2014 to comply. Any residents with questions regarding these notices should call the building department at 475-4300, extension 5. Now on a lighter note, on the other side of it, homeowners who have maintained their property in an exceptional manner can qualify for the Patchogue Pride Award, a certificate presented by the Village Board of Trustees. If you feel you qualify or you know a home that should be considered for this award, please call the building department at 475-4300, extension 5. Just a quick building and housing report, and this is all for the month of April. Building and housing summonses for the period of April were 5. Building permits issued were 14. Superstorm Sandy permits were 2. Plumbing permits issued were 1. Demolition permits, 1. Rental permits issued for the period, 14. Notices of violation, 50. Number of complaints received for this period, 37. Number of illegal dwellings or apartments found in April were 2. Now, the fees collected for the ARB applications was $375. Building permits were total $3,938. COs were $1,835. Dumpster permits, $150. Fire alarm permits, $350. Fire inspections, $100. Sidewalk seating permits, $2,000. Planning board applications, $1,145. Plumbing permits, $350. Rental permits, $6,250. Sign permits were $89.50, and zoning applications were $415, bringing the total to $16,977. So the building and housing, they're doing their job. They're out there and, bringing in some revenue.
There were 50 notices of violation. We give out a notice of violation prior to giving out the violation. The notice of violation is 15 days to basically.
Depends on the violation.
Yeah, pretty much it's 15 days to cure the problem. And as you can see, most times they do cure the problem. The notice of violation does.
Mr. Mayor, would Trustee Felice please repeat the code number in the first part of his report for the drive-by inspections?
Yeah.
230 what?
That was 238-43.
Thank you.
Public safety activity for the month, I'm going to do the whole year. January, 66 calls were answered, 29 field appearance tickets were issued. In February, there were 65 calls, 28 field appearance tickets were issued. In March, were 111 calls, there were 37 field appearance tickets issued. And from 4/1 to 4/20, there were 85 calls answered, there were 41 field appearance tickets issued. So the total calls answered were 327 for the year to date, and field appearance tickets are 135 year to date. That's public safety. At this time, and this comes under the recommendation and from the Jim Berberich, Director of Public Safety. There are 2 vacancies for senior code enforcement officers. It's his request that officers Louis Infantino and Jerry Abadi be promoted to fill these positions. Both these officers have experience in both Village and Brookhaven Town Public Safety and have demonstrated they possess the maturity and necessity of leadership skills to supervise the covered staff and officers. It is requested that these officers be promoted to the rank of senior code enforcement officers effective May 1st, 2014. This promotion would increase their pay grade by $1 per hour than the current rate. The current rate is $16.25, so it would be $17.25 per hour that they would be paid.
That's a motion?
Yeah, that's a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution approving the service award program for all the 2013 volunteer ambulance workers of the Patchogue Ambulance Company. So,
All in favor?
Aye.
and lastly, request approval to purchase a 2003 Ford Expedition from the Patchogue Fire Department District for the amount of $3,500. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This looks like a deal.
Yeah, that's
That
good.
could either go to code or they could use it at the village garage, but it's really a good deal. They
Yeah.
checked it out down at the village and everything checks out. And I think the bang for the buck, $3,500, you can't go wrong. It's like a $6,000 vehicle.
It's got 130,000 miles on it. It's 11 years old, so it's...
Yeah, oh, it's in great shape.
And who would know that?
But he's... Done?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I have.
Trustee Burke.
I have nothing to
Trustee Neville, trees.
Good evening. I have some ideas about the tree I was just gonna talk to Trustee Hilton later, because the trees I planted with the grant down there, some of them died after Sandy. Jack will talk. Well, there's there's the county grant that Dennis told us about, and maybe I can get my deer fencing out of that and put it in the trees. Oh, yeah, they love the tulips, they'll chop it right off. And there is a tree conference coming up, but I'll save that for the next meeting. I'd like to go, it's only an hour. I know that. Yeah. And we'll probably put a few trees on Main Street where some of the most, so, because I know you miss my here. All right, I'll be brief today. Today I had the pleasure to attend an event, the Student Arts Festival at Stony Brook University. This was the closing ceremony for their arts department. The whole department danced, music, and it was lovely. The students they had some musicians that were just fabulous, and speakers, but they honored, and every year they honor an alumni or an alumnus, and they honored our own John Cena. I'm sorry, I had to race out of the office. I didn't even know if I was going, and it was almost 2 hours that we were there. So he was honored. They talked a lot about Patchogue and the Patchogue Arts Council and all the things that were going on here. And the woman who gave the award most especially commented how much she likes the cherry jam.
Oh, great.
I got to let Bill know.
3 nights, yes.
But anyway, I was very proud to see John, and I don't know how many of you saw in the advance Little Lucy did like that little piece on him. His sculptures are up now in the new gallery space at MacArthur Airport, and there will be a reception next Monday, I think in the afternoon. I'll get you the time. But if you're up by MacArthur Airport, the space is being curated by the Iceland Museum, and pictures I've seen, it looks absolutely beautiful. So it's really an honor to have an artist from our community and somebody who's given so much to the arts get the recognition that he is finally getting.
Yeah, he's been at it a long time.
He's been at it a long time, yes.
I remember when he moved up into our neighborhood, he had all these sculptures and stuff that I was not done.
Well, the first time I was campaigning for office, my mom and I walked up on that wall. We didn't know him then.
Yeah.
And we're like, wow, look whose house this is. There's like stuff all over the place. So I was really happy to see that. And one other thing, Vision Long Island, which is a nonprofit located in Nassau County that promotes smart growth, next weekend they're doing a series of villages. They're going to different villages with different groups of people. So I think there's about 11 people that signed up to tour Patchogue with Eric Alexander, the 2 of us. So you may not be there. We'll just tell me where to go when we're meeting at Mike Kelly's. But if anybody is interested in attending, just email me at lori.b.devlin@hotmail, or just be over at the Riverwalk rental office Saturday morning at 11 a.m. So spread the word, because we figure we can handle maybe 25, 30 people and walk around all the projects and do. They're very excited to see everything that's going on at Patchogue and to promote, smart growth. So that's all. Oh, I spoke to Dave Rogers. I just need to get Steve Lucas's art space is going to devote 2 weeks in the month of July to the historic photos that were displayed up in Port Jefferson. So that's their rotating schedule. All their shows are 2 weeks long. So that will be in the early part of July. And I have to get Steve Lucas's information so I can get in touch with Dave, and we'll take care of that.
Jack, you talked to John about putting some of those pictures also there to the lobby.
And one other thing, there is a reception at the Patchogue Arts Council on Saturday. There's 2 installation artists, local Long Island artists, one of whom is a professor at Stony Brook, Jason Paradis, and Michelle Carolla, who works with the Huntington Arts Council. So that reception is from 5 to 7 p.m. Stop down. Our reception is being sponsored by Panera. This is brand new. Yeah, they're going to come, set it up. They're giving us a very nice discount on this will be a long, ongoing relationship with Panera. That's all I have for tonight.
Mr. Mayor, good evening, trustees, guests. Tonight I'd like to talk about something that's very dear to my heart, that is trees. We had funds donated by 2 individuals who would like to have us plant trees in memory of their losses. And the 2 trees we picked out were London plane trees.
Very good, very good.
They've already been planted. They're in the corner of the park, just to the north of the quarter-mile walkway. Of course, we had to worry about whether they were going to ruin people's view of the bay and this and that, or whether they're going to be on the water, or whether their feet were going to be wet, and we picked 2 beautiful spots. Much with the help of Kerry Dax. Joe, I have to tell you, he's our parks crew leader, who we've started to send on seminars and learning about the trees, and he really is taking off. He's doing a fine job. But these trees are very tolerant of atmospheric pollution, root compaction. It's a very popular urban roadside tree. Yeah, I really didn't recognize it.
Did you say who donated the trees?
No, I can't.
We don't know.
But I know that they did plant a lot of more by the Fireman's Park. South side. They're beautiful.
Yeah, they sure.
Moving along. I would like to request approval to hold the annual Memorial Day Parade on Memorial Day. That's something. That's a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's really not Memorial.
It's not real memorial. It's not a real memorial.
It's not. It's not even on Memorial Day.
Well, that's what it used to be, but now it's.
Come on,
It's not
Billy.
real memorial.
Memorial Day is on the 30th.
I changed it. You can change it.
Wow. Did we vote on it? Okay, I'd like to request approval to close Potter Street. On Saturday, June 14th and Sunday, June 15th, from 9 to 5, Avenue Sound will hold their annual show. It's a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Council, thank you. Any other comments from the board? Mr. Crosby? No. Public?
I got a quick comment. I
Hold
want
on.
to congratulate.
Second, John, hold on.
John, I just want to congratulate Attorney Yee and Pete Sarich for the effort on the West Avenue. I mean, it's the first, hopefully it's the first of many of its type.
First step.
We got a few more. I thought we could all get together after tonight and go down to Birmingham and session out.
So, John Bojack, Knoxon Street, and all my comments that I had intended on going to be big, just concentrate on one that came up with tonight, which is, I guess, I have a different viewpoint about this issue about enforcing tickets when people are drunk and they leave their cars behind. I think it's impossible for the village to find a way of figuring out what is going on with that person. But when I go out, I think the ultimate responsibility lies not with the village, it lies with the person. When I go out, I'm responsible for my behavior. If I'm smart enough to leave my car behind because I'm too drunk to drive, the $25 is nothing compared to what I would pay if I got in that car and got in trouble. It's cheap. It's the price you pay for going out. So I really think you want to spend some time trying to figure out a way of ameliorating their problems, because some people see this harassment. Go ahead. But I think ultimately it's the person's responsibility, and the village is not responsible. Similarly, if you're driving in the village with a car that's not registered, or there's something else going on and a code enforcement wanders upon the scene because they're doing their job, that's your responsibility to have your car registered, not the village's responsibility to look the other way. That's just the way the whole game is played.
Right.
That's it.
You're right, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely right. Any other comments?
You again.
Hey.
You used
It's a whole different thing.
Every week now.
It's a whole different thing. No, this is for,
They don't
Laura.
leave the shoes.
Howard, too.
Dave, just so you know, you've done the years with.
Lori? Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, we just, they finally took down the scaffolding in front of the store today. Yay. 8 yellow, sorry, 6 yellow. And we were looking at where the new signage is going, and we have a tree. When you start talking about trees, I'm like, oh, shit. We were wondering if we could, I don't know if you could move a tree.
Not that tree.
That tree. Or if we could replant a tree a little further left. Because there's a walkway that goes upstairs to the other offices that it doesn't matter if the tree blocks in the middle. But with the new signage, the tree will block.
Well, the tree
people's
went
signage.
where there was a hole, so now you talk about tearing up the sidewalk, taking down the tree, putting in a new tree. And
Right.
we're just in the middle of being reimbursed from the state for that particular tree. In fact, they just came and did a whole survey of all our trees for our reimbursement.
If I talk to the landlord and he would take the financial responsibility for it, could it be done?
I think we have to check with Jodine and DPW and see where you want to put it.
It would just be like one concrete slab to the left. And it would make all the difference as far as the signage goes.
If the landlord would pay for it, after you built out.
I'll have to
the
ask him,
section of
I'm just
sidewalk,
saying.
I wouldn't see an objection to that.
It wouldn't be blocking somebody else's sign.
No, it's the full building, right? You have Rose Jewelers, and then you have us. And in between the two stores is a walkway that goes upstairs to the offices, so there's no signage there. So
Because
it just be,
eventually, but it's going to take years, it's going to get bigger, and Ivan usually goes around and prunes the lower branches, so we start to get the growth up high, and not, but right now the tree is obviously, it's only been in for, that tree's only been in for maybe 4 years.
yeah, I'm not really a tree person, so I don't know how tall they go.
They
and,
get really tall, they're elms, they get really tall.
But if you don't mind, I would,
Well, talk to the landlord.
Yeah.
But I think it's been in too long to be successfully moved. I don't think this one is a Liberty, I think this is a hybrid. We tried to vary the types that we put in, I think it's called
good.
Accolade.
Good, because a Liberty elm has a huge crown.
Well, the Liberties are behind the theater and those 3 beds there, they're now 20 feet high.
I mean, elm, then become specimen trees. And
Well,
then-
it's like in East Hampton, they're gorgeous. In 50 years, we can look down at them.
Any other comments? To adjourn?
Second.